Hi, it's Mr. Whiting here. So I'm talking to you today about why you should choose GCSE Geography at Stretford Grammar School. Now, geography is a broad subject. It covers many different areas from the living world, from volcanoes and hazards, which is your physical geography, as you can see on the slides here with the rainforest and that erupting volcano, to the human geography. And you can see here it's got the city with a slum on one side and tower blocks on the other side. So you'll be looking at why do we have these inequalities, why do cities grow, why do they change, and how it impacts our life. But what I can say about geography, it's a subject that you'll find really interesting. It will really have topics that intrigue you, and also you want to learn more. But more importantly, it's about the world today, how it's changing, and how it's affecting you. So why is geography so important? Well, it's a subject that is really relevant to you and your lives, your future lives, and your families, and also the country you live in and the world. Now, in geography, we deal with vital issues such as climate change and environmental issues, which are only becoming more important, and that's something that will definitely be a key part of your lives going forward. But we also look at migration and how this changes cities, how it develops countries, and how and why this migration has happened, and it even might be linked to some of your own families. We also look at social issues and what that means and the economic impacts as well, from living in cities, from living in countryside, from living in rich countries to poor countries. But we also look at that physical world and natural hazards like volcanoes and how that impacts us, as well as understanding our natural environments, because if we don't understand them, we'll not truly understand the world and how we're meant to protect it and keep it safe for future generations. So it really does encompass geography, everything that is to do with our lives. So what skills will I learn whilst doing GCSE geography? Well, a broad range of skills. You're going to have our analytical skills where you're going to work out problems and how to solve them, reading through different documents, working out the pros and cons, and coming to conclusions on those. Such things as climate change, how can we solve it? Can we solve it? Short-term impacts, long-term impacts, and we apply that to all other topics as well. And we've got statistical skills, so you'll be reading graphs and maps and working out different how countries have changed from that, maybe what resources that you can mine there, their economy, and those are key skills that you'll use in later life as well. Also, you're going to do some group work and discussions, doing presentations, and working out why different countries are the way they are, and maybe doing speeches linked to that. And that will also link to your extended writing skills, where you're going to do sort of mini essays, usually on a sort of pro and con side, and come to a conclusion. It will really help develop your writing skills, as well as obviously looking at and learning interesting topics and knowledge from that. You'll also have enrichment opportunities. So there's two field work trips. These are mandatory, so everyone goes on them. You're going to have one physical geography trip where you go to the coast and you look at sand dunes and how we protect our beaches and how tourists use them. So hopefully a sunny day on the beach there. We also go to Salford Quays and we look at that as our human case study, and we see how Salford Quays has changed, how it's developed, how it's media city today, and it's beginning to have that real impact on the economy of Manchester compared to what it was like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when it was still docks and derelict areas of land. So the course outline for GCSE Geography, you have three papers and we learn different topics within these papers, and I'll go on to that in more detail later. Now you've got paper one, which is the living with a physical environment. This is your natural physical geography, looking at environments, looking at how we interact with this world and how it influences the way we live. We then have paper two, which is the challenges in the human environment, which is to do with our human world and how we live and how our cities change and how we develop and what we need to develop. And then you have your paper three, your geographical applications. This is the fieldwork paper, and it applies all your skills that you learn through the other two papers. So paper one is the physical geography paper, and the topics that you do on this are natural hazards, so this is volcanoes and earthquakes and hurricanes and how that affects our world and impacts on us as humans. We also have the living world, which is rainforests and biomes and these diverse environments all over the world. And then at the end of that, you can choose between two topics, hot deserts or cold environments. We choose to do cold environments, so you learn about the Arctic and Antarctica with that. Then we have physical landscapes in the UK, so that's the UK as an island and how our geography is. And then we have optional topics in that, where we choose to do landscapes in the UK and river landscapes in the UK. So this is to do with our coasts and how our rivers affect how we live, and reasons why our island has grown as a developed nation because of these. Then we have geographical skills, where you read maps and you work out different statistics from graphs as well, linked to all of these topics. Now this is a written exam, an hour and 30 minutes, and this counts to 35% of your GCSE. Paper 2 is your human paper, and this is how we look at how our interactions as humans influence our world. So we have urban issues and challenges, so this is looking at cities, and we're going to be looking at a high income country like the UK, and we're going to look at Manchester and how Manchester's grown, the issues it has within it, but also the opportunities that Manchester has. We also look at low income or newly emerging countries, so you'll look at Mumbai in India, and similarly the issues that Mumbai has to grow, but also the opportunities within it. You look at the change in economic world and how our economy across the world has changed and why it's changed, looking at different countries within that and companies, so looking at like oil in Nigeria and how that's influenced the economy of Nigeria to grow. You also look at resource management, which is to do with how we survive as humans in this world, with a particularly focus at the end on our optional topic being food, and how food obviously influences a country's economy as well as how we live and the quality of life we have. And again, throughout this are geographical skills, mostly around graph reading and working out statistics from that, but that links across the topics. Again, this paper is an hour and 30 minutes, it's a written exam, and this will account for 35% of your GCSE. So your last paper is paper 3, Geographical Applications. This ties everything together really. Now within this paper you have an issue evaluation, which is where we get a pre-release material made available 12 weeks before the exam, so a booklet on different case studies maybe and topics, and we read them together, work out things from them, and that will basically prep you for the exam. You also have fieldwork in it, so that's when we do our fieldwork days. You have to talk about your fieldwork, what you did with them, and you'll also maybe apply your skills that you learned in those fieldworks to future case studies that you might do in future fieldworks. And again, throughout this, the geographical skills, more map reading, more graph reading. Exam is only an hour and 15 compared to the other two, and it counts for 30% of your GCSE. So, why should I pick GCSE Geography? Well, as Michael Palin says here, geography students hold a key to the world's problems. This is a topic that's current. It's influencing our lives as we speak, and it will do into the future. Now, the more you learn on this topic, it will influence how you interact with the world. Now, you might just do it for GCSE, but it'll still change your perspective and help you understand the world you live in. But you can go on to A level and really develop your skills looking at globalization from that. And of course, you could always go to university and again specializing in the physical geography or the human geography and whatever intrigues you more at that point. But also, jobs link from this really well. So you can go into obviously physical geography, looking at the environment. I know people who've gone into engineering linked to this with oil wells, but I've also know people who've done the human geography aspect, to town planners, working on how cities develop, and working with governments really on aspects like that. Or of course you can apply your skills and go into education if you'd want as well. So it's a really interesting topic. You've got here just 2 images on here of the Northern Lights in Iceland and how that is just a wonder of the world, and then also New York City here, again in a way a wonder of the world with all of its built up environment. Doing GCSE geography will help you understand these topics whilst gaining key skills, and hopefully something that you'll find very interesting at the same time. Thanks for listening, and hopefully you'll choose GCSE geography.